So if I had a word with you tonight, one-on-one, just you and me, I think my personal advice to you in 2025 would be for you to reach down inside of your soul and come up with more of those remarkable guardian gifts. They're there, dormant, lying, waiting to be utilized. And then you can make any changes that you want to change to your buildcraft needs. And I challenge you to do that because you can change. So you don't ever have to be the same again after tonight, only by choice. Okay, watch how many stasis turrets I make. Wither Horde. Stasis turret goes down, Empower and Rift. Stand in our Rift. Radiant. We proc some DOT with the SMG. Get second turret. Look at that immediate. Wither Horde goes in again. Pay attention to grenade energy. We're approaching third grenade. Third grenade goes down. 3 grenades. 3 stasis turrets up. Another Empower and Rift. Look at the grenade bump. Got attrition orb weapons on and such. 4th grenade. The Holy Grail. Next gameplay is comparison of Spirit of Starfire on Transcendence gameplay. With and without. This is with Spirit of Starfire, showing you that you get more Transcendence grenades. Look at the chunks. Look at the grenade chunks. Can you see it? With the Wither Horde chunk and with the DOT on the Spirit of Starfire. That's with. That's nearly 6 nades or whatever, right? So that's 6 nades or so. Let's show you the direct comparison. This is no Spirit of Starfire, same stats. Same stats, Spirit of Starfire, that's 1 nade goes in, right? That's 2 nade that goes in. Remember, we're not getting Spirit of Starfire, so it doesn't matter what DOT damage I do now. This is third grenade. There you go, see? See that? 3, almost 4. There you go. My Buildcrafters build recently got a buff, and I want to revisit that for a video. Help the King of the North get to 50,000 subscribers. Winter's coming. Christmas is coming. So what I'm referring to, the Buildcrafters build is Spirit of the Filaments, Spirit of Starfire. The Haunted event is going to be 3 weeks. You have 3 weeks to farm this. There's many, many rolls you want on those class items. But if you ever get this one, it's unique and rare, keep it. Now I'm going to address the elephant out of the room first. The elephant in the room is, well, what is it? It's this. It's the helmet mods. Can we please ignore this for the video, please? Candy Devourer is FOMO. When Christmas comes along, you can't pop on Candy Devourer. You can get Devour for free. I know that you can. I'm addressing it right now here. If anyone says you can get Candy Devourer, I will timestamp you fast. Be careful. If there's been people missing this bit, oh well, that's up to you. So the reason why this class item is so good, because Spirit of Filaments basically frees up a slot in your aspects. Because of the buddy build change, having more buddies is very useful on Warlock. This allows us to run more buddies but still have Devour. Because people have been making the decisions lately, well before Festival Lost at least, to run like just Devour turrets, it's more of them. Well on my build, you can run, you know, those 2 turrets plus have Devour. Right? That's what we're going on with this. But it's more to it than just that. There's more to it than just that. Because you get a lot of grenade energy back from Starfire. So you can spam more grenades with this build. More than other builds. More than other builds. More than most. Because when you do an Empower weapon damage, which is Empower and Rift, or Radiant. Or Radiant. If you are Radiant, you will also get the buff. Okay? So this is going to give us Devour. This is going to give me more nades. So we can really, this is what the unique playstyle is, right? You still get Devour, you still get Blade Watcher, you still get loads of Blade Watchers, 3 to sometimes 4, and lots of Hellions in the meantime. Alright, so the stats are very strict on this. You want a high weapon stat and a high grenade stat. But it goes stricter than that. You need to get at least tier, I would go as high super as you can, because if it's anything lower than tier 8, you feel it and you don't get your super as much, and that's bad for any build. So try and rock the high super, and class ability needs to be close to 100. If it's tier 7 or 8, it's not enough, it doesn't work, the playback lib won't work. You need to make sure that you got high class stat. So you need high stats for all of these. You can sacrifice melee and health, you can sacrifice those too. You want to put a lot of fonts on side, 1 super font, 1 nade font, 1 weapon font, and we'll show you the activity that we're doing. We're going to use an activity that requires a lot of lockdown. This is a lockdown build. It's locking down a zone or a place and popping lots of transcendencies, a lot of transcendence grenades, a lot of stasis turrets, a lot of helions, with the added survivability of filaments. So Spirit of Starfire works in Transcendence gameplays, as I showed you at the start of the video, and it also works with, your stasis turrets as well. So I figured that I would give this build a whirl, because if you didn't know about it, I've been using it frequently over the last 12 months. Like, every so often I'll rejoin this build to see what it's like. And with the buddy build, I wanted to do just that. So in the run that we went with, we are using a scout because, well, we've got Overload Sword on, we got Barrier for the scout, and Wither Horde is the unit. It has a good interaction with Spirit of Starfire, right? You do want to use something with, like, you can use Festival Flight, Ares, and LGLs. So any DOT is going to stack with Spirit of Starfire. That's what I'm trying to explain to you, right? So, but I'm aware that a lot of people don't have Festival Flight. Now, I've fed this back to Bungie as well. You're not going to be able to farm Festival Flight again until summer 2026, unless that's subject to change. Because this is a solstice weapon, right? So solstice is a summer event, and it's a very important GL to the game. I'm just explaining to you that Wither Horde works very well with this build. That's all I'm trying to explain to you. So we went through all of that. Artifact mods, what did I run? Iron Lord's Vigor, Shield Crush, discount on Scavs. There's not a whole lot of that matters. Just Shield Crush. We're rocking a sword. Yeah, there's other little things we can do with, all this sort of stuff. But don't worry about it. We're mainly focusing on this particular build itself. So we're going with something that's locked down, something in the portal. So I was scrolling through, and what I ended up going with Glassware, because it's a good example, especially at the final boss, of me showing you the lockdown setup with it. The only thing I've got on is Extinction Revives. We're minus 30 Delta, and it's Extinction Revive. So we must solar floss it, but it's just a vessel to show you the build. Let's see how it performs. We haven't got all day. On with the run. Okay, so in this run, let's evaluate the build, the Spirit of Starfire, Spirit of Filaments, Exotic Class Item roll, and see how it now performs with the Buddy Stat rework. See what it's like, right? So we're going to make our way to the initial part. This is Solo Ultimate Glassware. It's a good test because there's a lot of lockdown in this one at certain moments. It's actually a very good test for this build. Right, so we skim it to the Overload. We're going to stun him with my Cold Steel Ill Omen. Look at that. We get a turret down and Power Rift goes down. Overload is half health already. He's weak. We get Prox Ward Overshield. We got Devour left hand side, Helion left hand side. We've got a Stasis turret still up, and I've got a second Stasis turret to back me up if I was to need it. By the way, ultimate content slightly harder now because of the pumpkin bins. Let me repeat it for you, because people miss things. Pumpkin bins are extremely dangerous in the game, Guardian. They can melt you down quickly. It's funny, because they've made ultimate content a little bit harder than what it was. They're not a bane, so, well, they are. They basically are a bane, actually, in my opinion. But they're automatically on. You don't select pumpkins as the bane. They're just automatically on in the game, right? They melt. Would you agree? Or are you going to be an elitist and tell me they don't melt? Yes, they do. I've seen it. I've seen what they can do. Look, Stage Turret goes down on Overload. Wither Horde goes in as well. Massive damage with the debuff, Faceted Dominance. So we proper Transcendence right away, and then we go for the Barrier. We break down that Barrier's shield. There we go, he gets destroyed. We've got our super already, that's why we always run a high super stat. Well, not high, but close to 100, just so that you get the ability regeneration at the very minimum. Like if you run a tier 7 super stat, or even tier 6, you'll feel it. You will feel that. So that's why I always run a highish super stat. Even if the build isn't about a super, I generally do run a high super stat because of that. Stasis turret goes down. Overload stunned with Ill Omen. I highly recommend if you've got this sword craftable, you go and craft it. It's incredible this season because of Overload sword. It might not be an Edge of Fate weapon, but it doesn't matter anymore about that. It doesn't matter about Edge of Fate gear bonus so much. Don't worry about all that stuff at the minute. Use whatever you want nowadays. It's not what it was 4-6 weeks ago. This boss is already cooked. He cooked so quick. It's with the debuffs and so on and so forth. We get another transcendence in here, and we're going to spawn kill the ads that come out of that doorway there. Barriers to my in the middle. But look at how many transcendences I'm getting in this. With a Horde, whilst might not be as good as Festival Flight, technically speaking, it is technically better than Festival Flight for transcendence energy. Why, may you ask? Well, because Wither Horde's a kinetic weapon. Wither Horde's a kinetic weapon. It gives light and dark. Now, I know you would say, oh, well, with Festival Flight, you would optimize your build to make sure that you've got light energy in there, and I agree with you on that. I'm just explaining to you that if you don't have Festival Flight and you didn't farm last summer, it won't matter all that much. Just use Wither Horde on all those types of builds. Wither Horde's amazing. I don't know, I think it's actually gotten slightly underrated of late. No one talks about it. I don't know. It's extremely powerful. Extremely. Look at this. Overload in middle. Controlled with the stasis turret. I've got good position. You need very good positioning with this one. Right? With this build. You need to be... The better you are with your positioning, and the better you are with your lockdown of ads and enemies and knowing where to stand and where not to stand, that helps this build along. Yeah, it's not like entirely up in your face on ads every moment. It's more about rift positioning, which I know rifts nowadays are not as good as Phoenix Dive. But in this case is the exception. This build is an exception, right? It's good for locking down zones, and it's at the mercy of an activity. If you're in an activity where there's a lot of movement, like too much movement needed, then the build will get hurt a little bit by that. And you're better off with Phoenix Dive in most cases. But there are some occasions in the game where if you need to lock down a place and that's what's needed from a build, then this build excels in that niche application. It depends on encounter design. It depends on new stuff. Like, we haven't had any new strikes in years, so that's the problem, right? So, like, say for example they remake Shield Brothers. You remember Shield Brothers? This build I'm using for Shield Brothers will be amazing. Imagine my build in Shield Brothers. It's one circular room, two massive bosses chasing you, solar explosions all over the place. My build would be very good in there. Obviously, other builds would be good in there as well. I'm just explaining to you that it's hard for me as a player to show you what I'm trying to think visually in my mind if we're not getting any new strikes. So we've got to use existing strikes. It is what it is. Hopefully, they change their mind on this and start making strikes. Because I would rather have strikes than new seasonal content. Yeah, like if we had to pick, let's have this new 6-man, or, you know, that's going to last for 3 months and then they sunset it. Or it lasts for 12 months or whatever. I'd rather have just new strikes. New strikes, even new PvP maps. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a PvP player, but I think PvP maps and strikes are far more important than seasonal content. Would we agree with that? I think that's right? Because a good strike is a good GM. A good GM is good conquest. It's not just a case of, oh, it's new strikes. No, it's not just a case of that. Because that impacts your conquests and your grandmasters. And your portal ultimates. And so on and so forth. Build's doing really well here so far, look. We're locking down everything that we need to. I have got the scout on, and it's just because there's barriers in this, right? There's a lot of barriers in Glassware, so I've got to put a consistent barrier weapon on, and Wither Horde's on, right? Which we can stun barriers technically if we're radiant, but the scout's backing up, you know, for whatever reason. We get weak here, we're overcommitting a little bit, well, quite a lot. That's all right. The stasis turret saved us. I was definitely too close to that captain there. Okay, 2 snipers. Take care of that. Those. There we go. And that little transition's just an overload and a couple of snipers and such. Just watch this gameplay. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. Just watch Nade Energy. Let's evaluate it. Look. Stasis turret and power and rift. I have a third to my Nade Energy almost. Yeah, ads are coming in. Go to your ads. 2 kills. 2 kills, stasis turret. Another stasis turret goes down. 1 kill, 2 kill, 3 kill. 3 kills, stasis turret. 3 stasis turrets are on the battlefield. And Power Rift goes down. We're close to our next stasis turret. Do you understand it now? Do you see what I'm explaining to you with this? Because the Spirit of Starfire, with the grenade rework to buddies and such, right? Not only that, I'm getting Helions to back up that stasis turret, and there's Devour. Devour, stasis turret, Helion. I'm not saying by no means this is the best buddy build in the game, because that's up for interpretation, and I don't even think there's an answer to that, because there's different buddy builds that suit different styles of play. You know, you've got Getaway Artist, you've got Rhyme Coat Rhyme, and you've got all these different subversions of what a buddy build is. There's no right or wrong answer. It really depends on what content you're playing and what you're used to. Because, well, some people say, well, Getaway Artist is the best buddy build in the game. I don't think so. I think when you're playing higher end content, Rhyme Coat Rhyme can be more useful than Getaway Artist, depending on the situation. Because Getaway Artist has a huge weakness, and the weakness is that you cannot place a turret 20-30 meters away, because the turret is consumed next to your body. If you're playing in a different style of way, you can't place the turret where you want to, and that can be a big difference depending on what you're playing, right? If it's Luminality and you want to stage turret in mid, you can't get it in mid because it spawns on your location. So there where Rhyme Coat Rhyme is better for Luminality. Do you see it? I'm giving you a precise example of where different buddy builds are better for different situations. Whereas you're getting constant uptime and amplify with Getaway Artist. So there's a pros and cons, and you need to weigh up those pros and cons depending on what you're doing, right? This build is exactly the same as that, right? Depends on what you're doing in the game, but it is actually rather potent if you get used to the playstyle. The playstyle is a little different to usual because Devour procs via Empower and Rift. So you've got to sort of strategize those rifts a little bit differently to what you would. I pop a super here just to get rid of this barrier, although I could have killed him anyways, but I'm using it more just to clear these snipers, just to get on with this video. I don't want it to be too long. How long is the video? 29 minutes. That's fine, because I've done a full breakdown of the build, plus a minus 30 solo, plus everything else in the video, so that's fine, right? As a full, complete video, I'm trying to explain to you. As a full, long format video, I'm happy with that. That's good, because that's the style of videos I'm aiming for. Yeah, I want videos with a lot of context and to be 20 to 30 minutes long. If an activity takes longer than 5 minutes, well, so be it. But I'm explaining to you that my market isn't shorts. My market is not YouTube shorts. My market isn't even 5-minute videos. 5-minute videos are not long enough for me to give you enough context. The more context given, more often than not, it helps a wider array of players. And that's what we're going for with this. That's what's most important. We get a stasis turret down. I'm spamming it. It's spammable on my build. Because look, I've got it back. That's one champ. One champ, one stasis turret. Can you argue with that ability uptime there, though? I don't think you can. I don't think that you can argue that is not... You can't say that that's not good. Now, this is what I'm on about. Lockdown, lockdown. Left-hand side, watch this. Watch the gameplay. Stasis turret goes down. Overlords are pushing. Hydra pushing. And Power Rift goes in. Transcendence is popped. Now we have fun. Whip out a bit of sword. Massive damage. Debuffed as well. Faceted dominance. Yeah. Wizard sleeve build. Yeah. And then we go in with some more caster frame damage. I love caster frames. Then we keep debuffing the Hydra. Both Overlords are taken care of. Nothing's challenging me because I've locked down this corridor. This Vex corridor is locked down by me. Next set of Overlords are coming in. I send the Harpy away, which is good because he's out of my hair. Then I get another stasis turret down. Now I think the Overlords de-aggro here, which is very weird. They've completely de-aggroed. They're fed up of me. They should be popping into this Vex corridor. They should be popping in. They don't want to, so they're frightened of it. The goblins are trying to... here we go. Here he is. So they've tried to ambush me to the right. Do you think that was fair of them? I don't think that was fair of them. But that's alright. We had a backup stasis turret there. Right, we get pushed by this Overlord. He gets stunned by that. We use a bit of Wither Horde and a Rift to back up. Just to show you how spammable it is. Look, these Overlords hit hard at minus 30. They do. Ads do hit hard at minus 30. They do, you know. You can see that they do. So... I see a moment of opportunity. Because my Transcendence is a spammable ability on this build, I'm just going to use it now. I generally DPS this boss from a different location. But because I got Wither Horde on, I can just do tremendous amounts of damage to him without having to think about his shield. The Scout can penetrate his shield, yes. but we want to get some Witherhorde sticks on him, right? So I can do damage. Look at how much damage we're doing to him there. That's decent. We haven't even done anything. I've only just started to damage him and he's sendable. Yeah? So I'm thinking about ammo a little bit now because I'm low on heavy. See, on this build, I didn't rock any scavs. So you noticing in the run how I'm not struggling for ammo, but I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it more than usual because I've got a lot of orb mods on, right? Because I'm speccing into attrition orbs with the sword. Just in general with orbs, which there's pros and cons to that. The upshot is, oh well, I've done a lot of build crafting with the attrition orbs. The down shot is, well, I haven't got scavs on, so we're gonna have to manage ammo a little bit better than what I usually would do. So look at this, stasis turret goes down. Riven phase, this is what I want. Come on, Rivens. A proper transcendence here. This is it. Lock and down zones. Warlocks are kings of corners. If there was a king of a corner in D2 environment, Warlocks are that. Stag Warlocks, they're the kings of corners. Looking round the corner at a distance at you. That's what this build. We're looking from a distance to watch these Rivens eat dinner. Look, corner. Stasis turret goes down. He's debuffed to hell. Oh, but they counter. Touche. They're playing 4D chess. Riven counters round the back of me. This is why we like Glassware. Because you get unique interactions with ads. Probably one of the best designed strikes in D2. As far as D2 goes, Glassware is it. There's not much better than Glassware in terms of like encounter design, boss design, right? Look at how big the map is. There's a lot of play for counterplay for ads and Guardian. There's a lot of to and fro, and that's what's good about it. Whereas a lot of strikes are like one-dimensional small room. They're either small rooms or they're too big, so it's too easy. Glassware's in the sweet spot in it being a very technical one, and you can play it in very many different ways. Especially on the old school Glassware when it was released in Beyond Light, right? It was an incredible challenge at the time to solo it. Average solo was 1 hour 30. 1 hour 30 minutes to solo this. Yeah, obviously the game's different now, but I'm explaining to you. Glassware is very well designed for all those reasons. You can play right, you can play right top ledge, you can play left Vex corridor, you can play stairs, top stairs kind of. There's all these different ways. You can play at the Vex portal to spawn your Minotaurs. There's all sorts of little different things you can do with it, and that's why I do like this one. So we get rid of the champ. Remember, we're not rocking scavs. Look at the ammo. It's a good example today of me showing you, right, a lot of you don't like using scavengers. I know how you think. I know how you don't want to solo scavenger on. You see my builds and you complain. Why haven't you got a weapon font on? Why haven't you got a weapon surge on? Well, because maybe I'm using a scav. General speaking, general terms, I'll be using a scav. And you don't want to use one. That tells me a lot about you. That means you're not soloing much because you're in a fire team and there's 3 people and you don't need the scav. That's what's happening. That's what's going on. You're in cahoots with them. There's something going on. Right? There's a lot to be said about scavengers. I think that's the point, but I am ruminating about it too much. This is where I generally DPS this boss from. So just look, we stasis turret, we Witherhorde, we can Radiant melee with Arcane, and we can just do the damage to him, right? And we can build our Transcendence. That's why I really do like Witherhorde, because there's less fort needed for Transcendence, and you can just rely Transcendence as a secondary super. Whereas if you use Festival Flight and what's the other stasis GL called? Forget the Lost Signal and such. That's fine. You need to, account for the other elemental affinities in your kit, which is generally not a problem. I'm just saying that it's even less of a problem when you use Witherhorde. And people don't have Festival Flight anyways. I'm starting to be wise that lots of people have deleted it. Don't know why they did. Or they weren't around. They were on holiday. Because you would be. It's summer. You know what I'm saying? It's understandable if somebody says, I don't have Festival Flight, I was on holiday. Yeah, I agree. I feel bad for them. But you've got Witherhorde to rely on. Witherhorde's a workhorse. It's incredible. It's definitely one of the best weapons in the game is Witherhoard. Even to now. Even in the state of the game how it is right now, it is. Like when Sundry Doctrine came out, Vesper's Host came out, what was Warlock's maining? A lot of them were using Witherhoard with prismatic transcendence rotations. Yeah? So, just remember, Witherhoard's always in that back pocket of mine. Even though my pocket's not that big, but I can fit Witherhoard in there. It's always in there, just in case we need to whip it out. Just in case, it's always there. I didn't pick up any hats because I didn't want to in the run. I didn't want to pick up any hats. They give you a damage bonus. I've explained how it works. We've done a good job there of managing all those ads. I've got a super for final wave. That's going to be 2 Rivens, 4 Rivens, 4 barriers as well. So I can get rid of this boss. I'm checking ammo. Look at my ammo. 16 sword ammo. That's fine because we're not up against any overloads, but the sword is decent for barriers when we're doing some damage while we're in Song of Flame and such. And it's also the caster frame's also good on Rivens as well. So here we go. King of Corners. Stasis Turret goes down. Empower and Rift. Look at the chunks. Look at my grenade chunking. I've just used the turret. I've got it back. I've got it back. I'm just checking if there's going to be any ambush techniques going on with the Rivens. Doesn't look like there is this time. If we get rid of the Riven now, the Hydra, we're going to get 2 extra Rivens straight off the rip, which is generally not recommended. But for this build, I want to do that. I want more Rivens. If I could spawn in another 2, I would. If I had that power. I don't have that power to spawn in more Rivens. But if I did, honestly, I would like just to look at this Pumpkin Bane. I told you they're dangerous. Those Pumpkin Banes are not to be shied on. Now, none of them really got me on this run, but they have in the past. They have in the past, those Pumpkin Banes. They're not to be joked about with. They've done a good job with those Banes. They have. Look at this. We get weak over commitment slightly. That's why you always strafe left or right and use your map awareness. Because I was a little lazy on movement, but we got there last second. I pop another Rift here for Devour. I've got a turret if I need it. This Riven's one shot anyways. And now it's just 4 barriers. But I've got a Song of Flame. I've saved it mainly for that. I could have used Song of Flame on the Rivens, sure. But I was confident enough to take them down. And I had a Transcendence as well. Yeah, so I was fine. I'll start dealing with this barrier here. I should be propping Song of Flame now. I hope that I do. I think I do, right? We'll soon see, I guess. I can't mind it on the run if I do pop Song or not. I think I do. Oh, there's still a Riven up. That went against my plan. That means I can't deal with 2 barriers probably now. So yeah, I didn't realize there was 1 extra Riven still alive there, so that's fine. I mean, it means I'm going to have to deal with the... I could kill the boss now. I hope we understand that, but I'm not going to, right? We're testing a build out here, so we take care of the champs. Yeah, we take care of the champs. Stage 2 goes down middle. Empower and Rift, same thing. Control, Witherhoard. Witherhoard will be barrier, of course, as well, remember. Because there's no champ mod for Witherhoard this season. So it gets barrier if you are radiant, that is. Final barrier. We've got Transcendence. I'm going to just use that on the boss. I needn't pop it for this one champ. Look at ammo. Two GL left. Pumpkin pushes. Damn it. I peeked that corner a little too infrequent for that. That's fine. We'll just finish him off. That's it. There we go. And now we've got a Transcendence. And a bit of ammo left to finish the boss off. So that was a solo with this Spirit of Starfire Filaments setup. It is better now with the buddy build, this. And obviously it does now work with Facet Protection as well, because I've got it on. That was bugged for about 11 months. That's not bugged anymore. It does work. You get the DR and you still get Devour. So this is worth it, but this is more of a, how can I describe it? This is more of a specialist build, right? It's more of like a specialist cheesecake. It's not vanilla. It's more of like a specialist flavor. It's more peanut butter flavor or something. It's not something that everyone would try, but you should. That's basically how I can explain the build. Hope you enjoy. Thank you.